and also who like to be professionals and wanted to share the experience of evaluation and monitoring. Here we are today for the SLEvA webinar, which discuss Sri Lankan experiences in building culturally responsive evaluations, exploring culturally grounded evaluation practices. So I would like to invite my colleague Asantha Surendra for the opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepani. Good evening, everyone. Very warm welcome to all of you joining us today. And it's a pleasure to share a few opening remarks at this webinar on Sri Lankan experience in building culturally responsive evaluations, exploring culturally grounded evaluation practice. In a country as diverse as Sri Lanka, culture, values, and local context play a vital role in how development interventions are designed, implemented, and evaluated. If we rely on one standard approach, we may miss the deeper reality of communities we aim to serve. Culturally responsive evaluation allows us to better understand these realities, ensure inclusiveness, and produce findings that are meaningful and useful. And as we explore culturally grounded evaluation practice, we are encouraged to go a step further by bringing in local knowledge, listening to community voices, and respecting indigenous way of understanding. This approach challenged us to adapt our tools and methods so they are not only technical sound, but only culturally relevant and appropriate. And here we are also very fortunate to have with an experienced moderator and a distinguished presenter whose knowledge and practical experience we no doubt to enrich today's discussion and provide valuable and insight to all of us. I warmly welcome Ms. Deepani Chathurika and Mr. Amil Epa for today's webinar. Mr. Amil Epa is a development and evaluation professional with extensive experience in program evaluations, partnership, and policy initiative. Currently serves as a president of Sri Lanka Evaluation Association, and he is the CEO of the Ministry of Participatory Interaction in Development, and he also a former board member of the Asia Pacific Evaluation Association. And I believe today's session offers a great opportunity to reflect our own experience, learn from one another, and think about how we can strengthen evaluation practice to be more responsive to the context in which we work. With that, I wish you all very engaging and productive session. Thank you. Over to you, Ms. Deepani.
Okay, thank you, Asantha. And Asantha is a monitoring and evaluation specialist and also the life member of SLEvA, which we work in hand to improve our evaluation and monitoring culture in Sri Lanka. Thank you so much. Pasindu, would you mind to go to the previous slide, please? Previous one. And this is key ground rules that we have to follow during the webinar. I would like to invite you all to active listening and all for microphone use. And also you are free to send your chat messages, questions and everything, and it should be thoughtfully. Thank you. So let's move to our distinguished speaker today, Mr. Amil Epa, the president of SLEvA. Amil, over to you. You're in mute.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity given. To share some of my experience with all of you about culturally responsive evaluations in Sri Lanka. So most of my slides are based on the experience that I've gained from studies, evaluations that I participated as an evaluator or a team member. So I would like to take you through the presentation, giving some of my experiences, which is very much connected with the context. I hope that you can see the slides. Yeah.
Yes, Amil, if you mind to make it into the presentation mode.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if you take Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan landscape, we are a diverse nation. We are a diverse community. We have Sinhalese, Tamils, Muslims, and indigenous communities like Vedda communities. And we had a decades of civil conflict, which have left deep cultural and emotional scars that continue to shape trust, governance, and participation. And not only that, we have cultural layers, basically in our system. Evaluation often, intersect with religion, caste, gender, and language, influence how people share their experiences. What is culture responsive evaluation? There are some definitions, but in simple, culture responsive evaluation is an approach that adapts evaluation methods to reflect the values, voices, and lived realities of the communities involved. So this is very important because it's an approach that adapts evaluation methods. So it's not that a method; it's an approach that reflects the values, voices, the lived realities of the communities, the norms and all that. Why culture responsiveness is important, or why it matters? People from different communities define success in their own ways. Past conflicts and lack of trust can affect how people share their views. Conflict affected state communities, indigenous communities, most at risk populations, and they need methods that align with their culture and circumstances. Culture responsive evaluation means listening, learning, and adapting to local realities. So this is, very much of grounded approach. So basically, simply we can say, cultural responsive evaluation is adapting methods to local voices, values, norms, and realities. What are the key challenges in cultural responsive evaluations? So there are different kind of challenges. Let's say social barriers, or gender and cultural norms in our community can be identified as one of the key social barriers. Women, youth, they don't even speak in discussions and in decision making, in planning. So that is also partially supported by the power imbalances in local communities, where these local elites and grasskeepers, gatekeepers dominate the community voices in most of the development projects and development interventions. And we have to also think of the conflict barriers, or the contextual barriers, especially post-conflict sensitivities that has created some contextual barriers over the years, with the mistrust that has affected these participation in the studies or evaluations, and different donor expectations. The pressure for quick quantitative results over local insights. So basically, donor pressure is also we have to consider, especially in evaluations. They demand a report in no time. just to, look at the indicators set by them and to define the success as, they have stipulated in their documents. And the system barriers. So basically, we have framed ourselves very much into a structure. We are not going out of the box. I'm more, I used to tell this, our evaluators are very focused and, they have framed themselves into some key approaches and methodologies in evaluation. So that limits our capacity to think beyond. So, we have to consider this as one of the key barriers in doing evaluation. And at the same time, access to these communities who are the most vulnerable, have a voice in an evaluation. So sometimes you have real barriers in approaching them. We might not go to the ground levels. We may do the evaluation, only on the surface level. What are the approaches, that we can use to do culturally responsive evaluations? So these are from some of our experience that we have applied through the organization that I worked. So basically, we engage communities to a great extent in our, evaluations. So it makes us to understand the local context and to build trust before, we do the real evaluation. And at the same time, we co-design indicators. So what is co-designing indicators? Co-designing indicators is, going beyond the set indicators, maybe outcome level indicators. We go beyond and we discuss with the community and try to define how they identify or define the success to reflect the community priorities going beyond what the project or the intervention has identifies as the achievements or the success. In most of cases, we use our local facilitators who can do evaluations, collect information using local languages, and knowing the culture and knowing the ground situation will make them more, access to these communities, as well as these communities will open with them so that you can collect more in-depth information. Going beyond, surveys or, formal structured methods, we give time to the respondents. Okay, let's speak. So we are trying to, or we are giving them time to speak and we listen to them. So we want to hear from them. So that is one of the methods that we not only probing, we listen to their stories. That is also very important to collect more deep information. And at the same time, we encourage ownership of results. Well, how we do it is, if we are given the opportunity, we share the findings with them and validate. Most of the cases, as evaluators, we are restricted by the donor or the TOR because, we do not get the opportunities to validate or share some of these findings with the communities, but some donors promote the community level validation these days. Typical versus culturally responsive evaluations. Basically, this is very important. In our evaluations, most of our evaluations are external experts led. But in culture responsive evaluations, community members actively participate. They get more time to talk to the evaluators. And most of our evaluations are very much survey driven, no KII or in-depth interviews driven. But when come to cultural response evaluations, we listen to their stories and their experiences. going beyond, the methods like, surveys, KIS, and FGDs. And most of our traditional, so we try to collect information against indicators and produce the report. But in cultural responsive evaluations, what we do is, we try to co-create indicators, or we try to identify how they define the success and how they define the achievements, and try to bring that into the report, going beyond what has been, originally proposed in the project document or the log frame. Basically, our traditional evaluation methods are very much concerned on numbers. Okay, this many households, surveys, KIS, and FGDs. You see, 100 TORs, 90% of the TOR has clearly given what you have to do. But it's very much the evaluator's response, the ability and the effort should go into managing this balance between the numbers as well as to other approaches to elicit more information from other means. And the extractive process, basically we are trying to extract information. We ask questions and we probe and we want them to answer. Whereas in culture responsive evaluations, we encourage them to share the information, or collaboratively we work with them, and we, to a certain extent, okay, how they define this, how they define this project activity. Is it a success as you see? Or, is it, is this what you expected from the project? Or if not, how would it have been implemented? Likewise, we go into more insights to collect their perspectives in data collection. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, or you can drop a message in the chat box. I will like to take you through some of our experiences. Most of these projects were done by my colleagues, and I have involved in many of these studies. Some of these were generated from. Now, basically, we have done a project in Northern Province. The case scenario is a post-conflict scenario. The project focus was to, kind of reintegration and livelihood development. The evaluation approach that we have used, going beyond the traditional evaluation proposed in the TOR, we have requested the beneficiaries to tell their story, and we have listened to them. So what we have found was that, how they have defined their success. The project want to have, a certain amount of improvement in their livelihood, or maybe, their income. But what people said was, we want to regain the dignity that we have lost over the years. How they define the success is not what was identified by the project. And there was a nice statement that I have, taken from the report. The participants mentioned in a focus group discussion, especially, the evaluators listen to us like people, not like cases. You may see how much they have involved, the collaboration, the connectedness. Otherwise, they will not make a comment like this. The people have mentioned that, the evaluators listen to us like people, not like cases. What are we doing? We take each respondent, each group as a case, and we try to achieve numbers and try. If possible, let's try to go beyond and listen to the communities. And I would like to take you to two other cases. All of these are experiences and from the report. So we have done a project to improve water and hygiene. So basically, we have had some, change stories. What are our learnings? So in the process, we have shared our findings, what we have, collected from them with the community. What the community members mentioned or stated at the end of the session, we feel like, we are part of the process. After involved in the project for last 3 years, now we feel like, we are part of the project and people listen to us. So likewise, there are a lot of cases that, how people think, how people raise their voices. They have raised their voice after 3 years. And they told us, okay, we feel like, we are part of the whole process. And one child, there was a note saying that, I can share my story, with my school colleagues, with my, teachers. So they have given a toilet. No, not a major intervention, but I have a story to tell. So how they have changed, how it has changed their life. So let's try our best to listen to these people. Was not supposed to speak, but the person attended with the family, and the person, that's how the child has expressed his ideas. So we have done some evaluations with multi-ethnic groups in Sri Lanka. So basically, it was to building peace and cooperation among communities through CBOs. In this, we have encouraged them to tell their stories and encourage reflection. Multi-ethnic evaluation team. Our team had, a multi-ethnic evaluation team. The learning is, the cross-cultural collaboration to create trust and respect. So it's very important. The cross-cultural collaboration is very much needed to identify how they define success and how they feel the project. What they have mentioned, the focus group discussion beneficiaries mentioned that, finally we learn peace by working together, not by, not by the lectures, not by the sessions, but working together in a multi-ethnic, multicultural community. Then only they have learned how peace, not by the lectures or the sessions or the workshop. So these are some of the good lessons that we can, take into account in planning projects as well. And we have done another project, some of my colleagues, they may aware, that's to support D- transition to civilian, work. So this approach was gender and culture responsive evaluation and behavior tracking. So always you may see that, the approach has something different, going beyond the traditional approaches that we have been used to do and we have been, doing. The learnings, like, work with the communities, listen to them and shared ownership, this was done for MAG. At the end of the day, what they have mentioned is, we are not just D-, we are planners now. So the financial planning training and all the other training that has given to them to encourage them to get into new jobs have family activities, finance activities, not only to secure jobs, but to manage their expenses and all that. So these are some of the insights that we get when we listen to people rather than get some information and to finish the session in 45 minutes or 1 hour. this is a different case. We have done a study with with most at-risk communities, I would say. This is a sexual and reproductive health behavior study. So the assessment approach was, peer-led data collection and consultation with most at-risk communities. Yeah. So the learning is, working with the members from the communities to build trust, ensure cultural sensitivity, and create a space for open discussion. This is very important. Most of these communities, they are, kind of sideline, or they will never have the opportunity to speak on their concerns, the issues, how they how how they have been stigmatized. So we have given them the opportunity to speak, but we have used peer groups which make them to speak. They know their language, they know their culture, they know how to talk to them. So likewise, we have used those approaches, and the information that we have generated was never recorded in some of the studies over the last year. So those insights were recorded through the approaches that we have used. With those approaches over the years, I can tell that the impact that these approaches has created in our evaluations, going beyond collecting information against the indicators and try to produce a report. It has increased the trust where communities feel respected and heard. So that was very important in collecting quality data. Going beyond indicators, deeper insight beyond surface level response, actual responses on ground level realities. And try to use this for their decision making. Some of these information, when we share with them, the how the change has happened, what are the learnings, they try to use it. Otherwise, these will be documented and kept in a shelf. So it's always important that we made community involved, and they feel that they are a part of this whole process. Then they will use, or then they will implement these recommendations. Otherwise, they will not care, because it's just another project for them. Inclusion of marginalized voices, the hidden perspective become visible when you use these approaches. As I mentioned in my study with the most vulnerable communities for HIV and other diseases, they speak, women, youth, and most vulnerable communities. They have mentioned how they have stigmatized, how the people have treated them, what are their real concerns. So that is very important for planning interventions. So using these culture responsive evaluations at different level is very important to generate information, as well as to plan projects for future issues. What are the lessons for evaluation designs? What are the lessons that we can get from culture responsive evaluations for evaluation design through this experience? Most importantly, cultural mapping. So when we are planning an evaluation, it's very important that we map, identify ethnic, gender, and social power dynamics in the target group. So that will help us to do a better evaluation. And very important that we do a proper sample, representative sample, which includes marginalized and minority groups as well. Oh, don't go by numbers, but always try to include all the communities who are a part of this. Numbers are also important, but it's very important that we go into all levels and all level of all the stakeholders. To the extent possible, use local facilitators, which local knowledge, local language ability, and some, prior involvement with the communities. So it's very easy to reach out to the respondents and collect information. Try your best to co-design indicators, how they define success through their values, through their norms, listen to them. So this is very important when you plan your evaluation, and you have to make special attention. You have to give special attention to these co-creation of indicators going beyond the set of indicators. To the extent possible, respect for oral traditions, like storytelling, visual and local symbols when, doing evaluations. This is very much used in indigenous evaluations, in indigenous evaluation toolkits. Also, this has been given, although we have not done a lot of evaluation in that area, they have tried to define it in their toolkits. Lessons for future practices. So, if you are an evaluator, if you are a young and emerging evaluator, try to work together with the communities, not just for them. Respect local customs always, if there's a Koil festival, Ramadan festival, maybe harvest in time. So respect when you're planning your evaluation or when you're, making field visits. Combine numbers with real-time stories. So if there's a provision to you to design or you to include value addition, try your best to, combine real-life stories with the numbers that has been requested by the donor that you are. Try to use local people as evaluators because their knowledge, how they evaluate the project, how they evaluate the intervention, get the insight, listen to them, and try to learn from them. They will define the success or the results within the context, within their cultural norms, within their community beliefs, values. As much as possible, as an evaluator, try to share what you have generated from them and what are the results as they define. So make cultural responsive evaluation a regular practice through OPAs. As SLEvA, we are responsible donors and implementing agencies, local networks, and consultancy firms. It's not just donors and implementing agencies, but consultancy firms also have the responsibility to the extent possible, use cultural responsive the evaluation methods, approaches in the evaluations. How we can scale up this practice? So it's very important that we train local evaluators in culture responsive evaluation approaches and strengthen facilitation skills. The evaluators can train young and emerging evaluators to participatory approaches. Strengthen WOPAs. To the extent possible, you try to strengthen your national WOPAs, regional WOPAs, and especially the young and emerging evaluators. Give them the platform to learn, practice, and share their experiences. Collaboration. It's always important that you collect with donors, NGOs, communities. And if possible, try to integrate these into the policies. So we can promote, advocate that national evaluation framework promote inclusive standards at least in their national policies and frameworks. So this is how we can scale up the culture responsive evaluation practices. So with that, I would like to conclude the presentation. Once again, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to make this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amil, that you have taken through us for the cultural evaluation. So here it's time for the Q&A. So I would like to request the audience, if you have any questions, please unmute yourself and ask, or else you can put it in the chat. We got a few questions already. So yes, there's a question, Amil. Shall I read the question for you?
Please.
It's asked, is culturally responsive evaluation a methodology or an approach? Is culturally responsive evaluation a methodology or an approach? That's a question, the first question.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, basically, culture responsive evaluation is an approach. Methodology can be different because there are methodologies and tools like you can do surveys, you can do KIIs, you can do focus group discussions, but this is an approach where you use where you listen to people, where you use their norms, their values, their cultural beliefs in your evaluation, not the tools, but this is combination, and this is an approach, not tool.
Okay, I think
Deepani, you are muted.
I'm sorry. So thank you for the answer. So let's move to the second question. How is culturally responsive evaluation different from participatory evaluation? How is culturally responsive evaluation different from participatory evaluation?
Okay, so basically, culturally responsive evaluation is different from participation. So participation is we get the participation of the respondents in an evaluation and we promote participation. But in culturally responsive evaluation, it goes beyond participation. We go deep. We, use the community norms, community values, structures, and how they interpret the success, how they believe, how they define, and all these will included in a culturally responsive evaluation. It's not just participation, it's going beyond participation. We actively listen to them, going beyond participation, and we use different approaches to elicit information beyond participation. Now, you do a focus group discussion, you have a participation, but you lead the session and get the data. But in culture responsive evaluation, the different scenario, we do a discussion, we give them time to tell their stories, we listen to them, we ask them how you define the results or how you see this intervention. Whereas, in focus group discussion, we have a set of guidelines. But this is very much going beyond participation only. Participation is part of it, but we go beyond. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's another question from Vishwa Sokanathan. He asked how to validate the local level information during the evaluation process. How to validate the local level information during the evaluation process.
Okay, basically now in culture responsive evaluations, we try to collect a lot of information from the community, and what we can do is, to validate, we can use other methods. We can triangulate those information with secondary data. Sometimes we can triangulate those information with questionnaire surveys. We can triangulate those information with KII interviews, and we can validate. So what we have collected from the field, we can validate through other sources and other means. That is how we validate the information. But at the same time, we give due respect to how the results been interpreted by the communities itself. So that's the difference. Although we validate, we give certain amount of weightage for the community responses as well. We are not just presenting what they have mentioned.
Okay, thank you so much for the answer. And there's one more question. How do we redefine the indicators with the community on the top of given TOR? How do we redefine the indicators with the community on the top of given TOR?
So basically, that's a good question because always we are framed to a TOR, okay, and you have given, and then you give you the results framework and theory of change, and you wanted us to give results again those. Okay, we are not expecting anything more because the donors they don't want to listen. They have to do the project completion report with these data. Evaluation is done, tick. But basically, are you really are you really interested to know what is community wants? Have the project been able to deliver what they want? So basically what we can do is, especially in designing part, we can use tools and we can customize our tools and the approach to get more participation and listen to these communities in designing, selecting sample, and giving them opportunity to speak. Like, rather than doing a focus group, we do some storytelling as well. And we include some marginalized communities. We use their communities and we want them to interpret how you see this project intervention. So likewise, we try to come up with indicators, how the project defined and how you feel. The example that I given with the North and East project, the project tried to improve the living standards or the livelihood status of the community. But the community has taken that, project was well taken, but they wanted to gain the dignity that they have lost with the war. That is how they define. The project defined as increase in their income, but for the community, it's to regain the dignity with the money, with the involvement with the community, with the leadership position in women community. So they regain the dignity, but the project measures the success in monetary terms, whereas the community, measures the success in different terms. It's a broad kind of measure that you define your success. So that's how you do it. Thanks.
And there's a follow-up question for the same. Is not it deviated from the given standard TOR? And should we add on suggestions to the TOR?
So basically, let me tell, basically when you do a TOR, especially some donors or some implementing agencies ask comments on the TOR. But most of these other, I have seen a TOR 2 days ago. The structure is given, you can't write anything else. 10 topics you write, within that, you have no flexibility, but we have defined. Normally when I'm doing, I did, basically I did a proposal for one of the, agencies. This TOR is very straightforward and given numbers and all that. And they wanted us to measure the impact. From the tools that they have proposed, you can't measure the impact. Because, then I propose other methods plus outcome harvesting. Otherwise, sometimes, they will reject. This guy is, out of his mind, has proposed outcome harvesting, which we have not requested. But one day or the other, as evaluators, if we are to promote culture responsive evaluations, or if we are to be innovative, if we are to learn, we have to try something new. But I have seen that most of our colleagues who are in evaluations, they frame themselves to the TOR and try to deliver within the TOR. But when we listen to the other speakers from the world, we see where we are. So we have to make this change. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it. It will be challenging, but the implementing agencies or the implementers or the managers, through the capacity development, learnings and discussions only, they will get the opportunity to learn more and give the flexibility to the evaluator within the project context, I would say, to be innovative, to get more information. And the most important thing is, they use those information for future projects as well. So it's a challenge, but I it may not be favorable in the proposals that I do, but let's do it and see one day or the other the implementing partners may consider.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So actually, there was a question related to the answer that you have combined with whether, in your experience, how do donor implementing agencies respond to these approaches? You have already answered that question, I think. So the last question, can you measure the impact of culturally responsive evaluation itself? Can you measure the impact of culturally responsive evaluation itself? So that's the question, the last question.
How you define the impact? That's the most important thing. In evaluations, is it what is being given in the project document is the impact? Or, do right now, we do premature evaluations, I would say. We are not doing a evaluability assessment because the project timeline ends, we do an evaluation and we want to have the impact. So this is a challenge to do the impact evaluation. It's not just numbers. So basically by numbers, we can say, this has improved, but impact is a broad thing. But culture responsive evaluation would be a good approach to define impact, because it's not how we define impact, it's how the community or the ultimate beneficiaries define impact. So that is a supportive set of data, information to tell the project implementing agency whether the expected results has been really achieved and how the community has feel it, how they have felt, or how they have defined. So in my case, this can be used to support the project to show the real impact if it has been achieved. If not, that is also a concern, because at the end of the day, most of our senior evaluators been telling that how the community felt, and at the end of the day, how they feel the change is the real impact. It's not just how. I heard that Dr. Soma said in a session. It's how the change or how the results were felt by the community, not by the implementing agents. In that case, the cultural responsive evaluations are very important. Thanks.
Actually, thank you so much, Mr. Amil. I think the time runs, and we have answered all the questions in the chat and also the sent by colleagues. So let's move to the next slide, Pasindu, please. So I would like to invite Mr. Thiviya Punniyamoorthy, research scientist of Industrial Technology Institute, Research and Development Complex, Malabe, to give the thanking remarks.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Deepani Chathurika. Today's session highlighted how evaluation becomes more relevant, meaningful, and effective when it reflects the cultural context of the communities we serve. On behalf of SLEvA, I sincerely thank Mr. Amil Epa, President of SLEvA and CEO of the Development, for the insightful thoughts on Sri Lankan experiences in building culturally responsive evaluations, exploring culturally grounded evaluation practices. Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable experiences and perspectives, which have deepened our understanding of culturally responsive evaluations in Sri Lankan context. You have clearly indicated that importance of inclusion of culturally responsive evaluation practices immersed in development projects, health research, and the community programs particularly, where cultural diversity, language differences, and local traditions strongly influence the program outcomes. Thank you for inspiring us to think critically and inclusively when designing and conducting the evaluations. Special thanks goes to Ms. Deepani Chathurika, Partnership and Fundraising Subcommittee member of SLEvA, and M&E Specialist for serving as a moderator and for guiding this session so effectively and ensuring smooth and engaging discussion. We also extend our sincere thanks to Mr. Asantha Subasinghe, M&E Specialist at South Asia Cooperative Environmental Program, for delivering the opening remarks and setting the stage for today's webinar. Our appreciation also goes to Mr. Pasindu, our coordinator, who worked behind the scenes for the success of this webinar, especially for his excellent coordination and administrative support. We also thank all the participants for your time, active involvement, and thoughtful questions, which made this session truly interactive and meaningful. Finally, we express our gratitude to the organizing team and everyone who worked behind the scenes for the success of this webinar. Thank you all once again. We would like to see you in the upcoming webinars, and I wish everyone a pleasant day. Thank you, and thank you, SLEvA, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Thiviya. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yes, if starts, there should be an end also. But keep remember, as Mr. Amil explained, how the community empowered. We are not D minus, but the planners. Let's make the community planners. And please stay with SLEvA webinars. Please join and share with your colleagues. And we are the network that going to share our experiences. So thank you so much for the today webinar. And thank you, everyone. Have a nice day and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you,
Thank you
Amil.
very much. Good night.